Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I am Giuseppe Catalfamo, and I'm professor of computer science at Luke University in Italy. Not only I teach computer science, but I also created the first industrial digital fabrication laboratory in the university. The title you see, DIY, how I call it, is the topic we're going to talk today, even though the title was a bit longer. It couldn't fit in the slide. There is a reason why we have a shorter title and a longer title. So we are startup. This is a laboratory within the university. It's kind of special because it's the first digital fabrication laboratory of its kind, in a way that it wasn't created for artisans or for makers. It was created for companies to try and test their ideas. We not just about digital fabrication laboratory, we have also a MakerBot Innovation Center, the one that a previous speaker spoke about. We're also networked with Harvard, with their entrepreneurship research center. But this is the boring part. The funny part is what we made with the laboratory, which is a place for companies to create and prototype projects. But that's basically what every kind of laboratory is already doing. It's not anything new. So we did something a bit different. We took a sunny place. Actually, this is the university park. Our university was a company in the 70s. It was a textile company. We took the previous owner's villa, and we made the laboratory inside the villa. So we have a nice view every day, but that's not the point. And we have a place where the students, before and after classes, go and pass every day and spend their time printing. Not just the villa, we also put some printers in there in a way that there was always a printer available for everybody. And if you know how a MakerBot Innovation Center works, is basically that wherever you are, wherever in the world you are, you can start a print. And we can know what is being printed, how long, and how far is being set the command to do it. And then, so we took a nice place, we put a lot of printers in there, and then we started telling people something different from prototyping, which was something like this. You know, Henry Ford, he created basically the car, the Ford Model T, and what he said was, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they wouldn't have said cars because they didn't exist. They would have said faster horses. We try to teach creativity to the students inside our university, to do stuff that doesn't exist yet, and find a way to make it sustainable in an industrial production line. Press kind of liked it because we got a lot of rumors speaking about us, but what we expected was not what happened. Of course, students came and started making a lot, much more than before, but this is what actually struck us. We didn't print more. We didn't get more prototyping projects. Entrepreneurs came to us asking us to learn how 3D printing worked. Not because they wanted to know how to push the buttons, because they wanted to know how open their mind, getting more flexible in their production lines, could increase their opportunities to become more sustainable with their businesses. That's something we didn't expect, because CEOs of companies, presidents, came to us and learned, like students. They came out so happy, they were like a Disneyland. And a month later, they came back with their production responsible, with their production directors, because what they learned, they want the directors to learn as well. And that's been an incredible experience to us. But this is where I stopped talking about 3D printing, because the workshop on our center is tomorrow. But what I'm talking about today is that this phenomenon got us asking us, okay, why do adult people and younger people have fun in the same way, doing stuff with their hands, but also trying to use these new tools, these new digital tools, and try to create stuff that didn't exist before. So we talked with the European Commission, and we won an Horizon 2020 call. So they gave us a few millions to do it, to study how the new do-it-yourself phenomenon was changing the world. We have a few partners all over Europe, but basically what we know is this. Do-it-yourself is something that someone does, so an activity, or something that someone has, a mindset. This is a socio-technical phenomenon in which that by doing stuff and having the right mindset is actually a reinforcing loop in a way that makes you be even more happy to do it even more. It makes you happy to tell people how you do it. And it makes you happy to convince people to do it. And this is getting really strong. Of course, do-it-yourself is not a new phenomenon. It's been really old, but what happened is what we call digital do-it-yourself. Digital do-it-yourself is an evolution of that phenomenon in which new digital devices, digital systems come around, well, 3D printing, scanners, whatever you want to call it, and start being the tools that the new makers, the new do-it-yourselfers use every day to make new stuff. They do not do woodworking anymore alone. They start printing, they start using digital tools like Arduinos, electronic boards, they start playing. And we noticed that in some way, this was an even more reinforcing concept because the activities were put together with the new digital systems, so the reinforcing loop was even stronger. And you know why? Because, well, speaking about jokes, because Facebook came, because social networks came. And in the joke, because online communities, which are part of the digital tools that makers today use, basically makes the makers want to share what they do even more. And not only, I want to know how to do something, I do not buy books anymore. I go on digital communities where I can learn how this stuff is made. So the reinforcing loops gets even stronger. But there is still a lot of stuff that we don't know yet, which are the dimensions of how this phenomenon works. This is what we're studying right now, because this project actually started this year. Like the outcomes. So it's do-it-yourself only aimed at creating artifacts, objects, or also ideas. Professionalism is just for people who have free time, or even professionals who work in a real company can be makers, can be do-it-yourselfers. And questions like this. So we defined our aim with the European Commission, which is define a new model, a new concept in which the do-it-yourself in 2015 worked, and translate how this concept would be useful for countries in policy making. Because if I want to get all the schools in a country and making kids learn 3D printing, well, we should have some objectives. Buying printers is not enough. So maybe we should start understanding better this phenomenon so we could make better policies and improve education and improve our organization's work. So we come back to our real title, which is Atom-Bits Convergence and the New Human-Centric Multi-Perspective Foundational Framework of the Digital Do-It-Yourself Phenomenon. That was quite long. Okay, Atom-Bits Convergence. I'm pretty sure lots of you have seen this picture. This is the cover of The Economist in 2012, in which, of course, we can imagine bits from a side and atoms from the other. So what is atom-bits convergence? We heard about the Industrial Revolution, the new Industrial Revolution. We could say that people used to manipulate matter over time, since mankind was born, to manipulate even more matter. I made tools to do stuff. Then I created communication. I created information to communicate with people. So for a lot of time, matter and information came along in a parallel way, so that I started creating things and objects and communicating information and ideas with people. At some point in history, though, the tools, the digital system we use today, made a convergence in which, at some point, I can use information to manipulate matter, and I can use matter to create information. You want to see an example? A 3D printer, isn't it an example in which I use information to manipulate matter? A 3D scanner, that's an example in which I use real matter to create information. It's human-centric because it gets a wide spectrum of domains, not just individual, but also in organizations. Because if I'm a maker, if I like to do stuff, it will probably influence how I work. And if my colleagues are makers themselves, probably our workplace is going to be different. I know makers that call themselves makers just because they know how to creatively use Excel. That's quite intriguing. It's multi-perspective, though, because it's not just education, it's not just research. It's also in government. The question was, how would you study it? Do you just go around and interview people? Well, that's one way. So you make an hypothesis and you test it on the field with real people, so a top-down approach, a bottom-up. Well, many approaches are getting thought about. Today, I'm going to talk about one we tested in this July, which was a bottom-up approach, in which we understood that if we could manage to gather a lot of data somehow, we could try and understand what were the main principal and fundamental factors of do-it-yourself in 2015. Motivations, sustainability, independence. There were many. Then we could build a framework. We could test the framework, and then perhaps we could give a good interpretation of what do-it-yourself was nowadays. So where did we find the data? As I told you, the social networks are getting real also for doing serious stuff, not just for giving likes to people. And this is an example of what you can find online on people creating stuff. This is about technology, but you can also find of botanical, food, how you make costumes, how you make videos. You can find almost anything today. Well, since I'm a professor of computer science, we built a tool, a software tool, that could actually scrape the web over these websites and find all the data and put them together, and maybe if we could find some information. In the month of August, in just 1 month, we found 180 different do-it-yourself project domains. And by domains, I mean, for example, 3D printing is one of them. Paper origami is another. Costume making is another. 180 of them. We found 165,000 fully documented projects we could study. 195 users that gave full ethnographical and demographical information to study, just by looking at these websites. Of course, we could have done it by hand, but it wouldn't be efficient. So we built a software to do it. And in 1 month, we did that. Number of interactions. Since they work like social networks in a way that I publish a project, like how I make this chair, and people see this project, and maybe they like the project, they favorite the project, they click on, yes, I made it as well, or maybe they comment, or maybe they publish it in a different shape. So we know the number of interaction is actually infinite. We cannot keep track of it because we didn't just take a picture of the situation. We are running the software every day to see how this interaction evolves. And we found stuff like this. This is the growth of makers on online communities from 2005 up to today, the monthly growth of users. And we could find there are some points in which the users came and increased more than the average. For example, when the media started talking about 3D printing a lot more. When just after the iPhone came around, the iPhone? What does the iPhone mean? Well, between the 50s and now, how simpler it is to document a project just because I can take pictures of it with my phone. Have you thought of it? There are many things, actually. Also, the crisis, the need for less standardization or the need for more personalization. Yes? Okay, just one. So without talking about all the data, because it was actually boring, what we found out was the new profile of the maker. That was the most interesting part. The old maker was over 30 years old. The new one is actually younger. The old maker was usually passionate in electronics and informatics. The new one isn't. How come the new one, the modern maker, isn't interested in that? It's because, probably, they use informatics as a mean to do more classical stuff. From producers to consumers. This is stuff we wouldn't have guessed about. And, well, of course, we have a lot of more to do. I just want to, just 1 minute, about the trends that we found out using this data, which were, some of them were common, some of them weren't. The common trends were that machinery are getting cheaper, actually are getting more complex, easier, and cheaper to use in this exact order. The other one is that, conservatively speaking, the range of materials we would use will decuplicate in the next few years. In my opinion, in a few years, we'll be able to print any kind of material. The disruptive one is that 3D printing is moving from products to activities. Okay. To activities. In a way that I will use 3D printing not to print products, but to aid my work. And the last one is that probably things that we use every day will be made of materials we don't use yet. That's what we're finding with the data. And that's basically it. Thank you.